I've been a Legacy of Kain fan for most of my life. I still remember being a kid in the PS1 era, picking up Blood Omen for the first time and having absolutely no idea what I was about to experience. I'd played dark games before, but nothing with that kind of atmosphere, nothing with that kind of writing, nothing with voice acting that felt like it belonged in a Shakespearean tragedy instead of a video game. Kain's narration, Simon Templeman's delivery, the weight of Nosgoth's history, it all hit me in a way I wasn't prepared for, and it stuck with me, long enough that I literally have the physical and spectral Soul Reaver swords tattooed on my arm. That's how deep this series runs for me. The remasters were the first real sign. Seeing Soul Reaver 1, Soul Reaver 2, and Defiance return to modern platforms, cleaned up, supported, and accessible again, felt like someone had finally cracked open a tomb that had been sealed for decades. It wasn't a reboot, it wasn't a remake, but it was movement, and for Legacy of Kain fans, movement is everything. But the moment that really made me sit up was the announcement of Legacy of Kain Ascendance, a brand new game set in this universe. Even saying that still feels kind of strange. After more than 20 years since the last mainline story entry, suddenly we're looking at a new chapter in Nosgoth's timeline, and not a throwaway mobile experiment or a random spin-off, but something that's clearly being made with intention and style. Ascendance is a 2D action platformer, but it's not some cheap retro throwback. It's fast, vertical, fluid, the kind of game that feels built around momentum and skill. The pixel art looks gorgeous, capturing that dark fantasy tone without feeling dated. And the PS1 inspired 3D sequences, that's such a clever way to honour the series' roots while still doing something new. But what really surprised me is how much emphasis the game is putting on story. This isn't just a fun little side project. The narrative is woven directly into the gameplay, the cutscenes, the world design. The anime-influenced cinematics give the series a bold new visual identity, but they still carry the weight and drama that define Legacy of Kain. And then there's the cast. Michael Bell, Simon Templeman, Anna Gunn, Richard Doyle. Hearing those names again, the voices that shape this universe, that's when it really hit me. This isn't just a nod to nostalgia, this is a real Legacy of Kain project. These actors are Nosgoth, their performances are the reason these characters became iconic in the first place. On top of that, the soundtrack is being handled by someone who knows how to blend ancient atmosphere with modern energy. It's the perfect fit for a world that's always felt both mythic and futuristic. But the thing that excites me the most, the thing that makes me feel like Legacy of Kain might actually be back, is the structure of the game itself. You're not just playing as one character, you're playing as three. Kain, with all his vampiric power and arrogance. Raziel, both as a human Seraphim Knight and his early vampiric form. And Elilith, a new vampire with a fast, aggressive playstyle. Fact is, this isn't a small experiment. This is a game that's trying to expand the lore, deepen the timeline, and give fans something meaningful to chew on. It's not a remake, it's not a remaster, it's a new story in a world we thought was done. And that brings me back to the question at the heart of this video. Is Legacy of Kain really back? Honestly, I do think so. Not in the sense of we're getting a massive AAA reboot tomorrow, but in the sense that the franchise feels alive again. It's moving, it's breathing, it's being handled with care, and that's something we haven't been able to say for a very, very long time. Ascendance doesn't need to be the biggest game in the world, it doesn't need to reinvent the industry. What it needs to do, and what it seems to be doing, is proving that there's still a passion for this universe, that the characters still matter, that the lore still resonates, that the fanbase is still here, still hungry, and still ready. And honestly, that's enough. Because once a franchise starts moving again, even in small ways, it opens the door for bigger things, more remasters, more stories, maybe even a full reboot someday. But even if none of that happens, Ascendance is already a win. It proves that Legacy of Kain isn't forgotten. It's proof the world of Nosgoth still has a pulse. And, as someone who grew up with these games, who still carries them on my skin, who still hears those iconic voices in my head, seeing this series return in any form feels like a gift. So yeah, I think Legacy of Kain is back. As someone who's been with the franchise since the PS1 days, someone who grew up with Blood Omen, who fell in love with Raziel's journey, seeing Legacy of Kain moving again in any form feels incredible. It feels like something I never expected to witness again. Whether Ascendance ends up being the start of a bigger revival, or just a really meaningful return to Nosgoth, it proves one thing. This world isn't dead. these characters aren't forgotten, and the people behind the series still care enough to bring them back with style, with intention, and with respect for the fans who've held onto the universe for decades. So yeah, I'm hopeful, more hopeful than I've been in a long time. And if this really is the beginning of a new chapter for Legacy of Kain, I'm excited to be here for it, and to talk about it with all of you. If you're a long-time fan, or even if you're discovering this series through the remasters or Ascendants, let me know what you think. Does this feel like the real return of Legacy of Kain? Are you excited, cautious, or somewhere in between? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and as always, here's to whatever comes next for Nosgoth.